Son drains retired woman's bank account. Branch manager flags it and calls the designated contact. The phone buzzed on the table while the kettle hissed, and Anna Louise nearly let the water boil over. The voice on the other end was measured, polite, but carried that technical weight of someone who only calls when something's off. Good afternoon, this is Mark Yu, branch manager from downtown. Are you the registered responsible party for pray? Mrs. Evelyn? Anna set the mug against the counter. It was late Friday afternoon, 5:40 p.m., 15 minutes after her grandmother's ritual. Blue notebook open, bills tallied with a sharpened pencil, 2 drops of lavender on the wrist. If Mark was calling at that hour, something had cracked. I am, she answered, and the manager's silence lasted just long enough for urgency to slip through the kitchen door. I need to inform you we recorded an atypical sequence of withdrawals and transfers today, totaling 84% of the account balance. The card used was the physical one, ending in 3327 with PIN. Are you with your grandmother right now? Anna looked to the bedroom door half open, where a quiet TV poured out a variety show, and the yellow light outlined Mrs. Evelyn Zaku's silhouette perched on the edge of the bed, blue notebook in her lap. I am. She's here. Anna's heart skipped a beat. The manager cleared his throat. I've already blocked further withdrawals as a precaution, but I need to confirm. Was this authorized? Did a trusted person take the cash for an emergency? A name sliced across Anna's mind like a cold gust. Richard, the son, the man who showed up when he needed something and vanished when others did. She dried her hands on the dish towel. Mark, please tell me the times and amounts. With every hour and number he read, 9:12 a.m. For $600, ATM on Market Street. 10:03 a.m. run $200, banking correspondent inside Parker's Butcher. 1:57 p.m. $2,000, app transfer to an unknown account holder. 3:40 p.m. $1,000, ATM at the bus station. Anna pictured Richard's Guy, shadow hopping around town like a clever rat at a street fair. Can you confirm you didn't authorize these? I didn't. And my grandma? Anna drew a breath. My grandma keeps her cards in her purse, but she always stores them in the flour tin. She doesn't go out. She would have logged it in the notebook. Mark kept his voice steady, immune to drama. Okay, procedure. We'll maintain the block and open a dispute file. Since you're the registered responsible party, please come in tomorrow at 9 a.m. with Mrs. Evelyn, her ID, the card, and the responsible party form. We'll check images and logs, and the pause carried weight. If someone is trying to access her account right now, I recommend collecting the cards and not opening the door. Anna thanked him. When she hung up, the kettle had cooled, and so had her stomach. She walked into the bedroom slowly. Grandma, can I take a look at your notebook? Mrs. Evelyn lifted her chin and gave that little smile of someone who apologizes for existing. Of course, honey. I was just checking the light, water, gas, and today's the day for lavender, right? Anna recognized the discreet scent, the old gesture from when her grandmother still taught school. 2 drops, rub the wrists, breathe deep, and say, there, my head settles. End of day ritual. On the monthly page, the lines were neatly written. Pension, 24th, okay. Withdrawals, 200, market, 80, pharmacy. That was it. No big cash outs. Grandma, do you feel like a card is missing? It's in the tin, of course. They opened it together. The old flour tin that now lived on the top cabinet hid 2 things, the card she always used, and an empty space where the new card the bank had sent last month sat to make paying with debit easier. The empty space was a digital fingerprint, and that print had an owner. The front gate slammed in the yard like a warning. Anna peeked through the curtain before letting it fall back. Richardsmas. Old pickup was parked across the front, sideways like he always did when he wanted to announce himself. He walked in without knocking, smelling of cigarettes and hurry. Mom, where's that cornbread? The smile he tried to paste on wilted when he saw Anna standing, clutching the notebook. What's with the face? I made a few withdrawals today, Mum. You didn't notice. Had to sort out some issues with Uncle Arlindo's lot. I'll put it back tomorrow. Even the lie sounded worn out. How much did you take, Richard? Anna asked, voice calmer than her blood deserved. A little. Besides, it's her account, but I'm the one who runs around, right? She doesn't even go to the bank. Mrs. Evelyn worried her hands like unraveling an invisible thread. Son, did you tell me? I don't remember signing anything. Richard walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, drank from the bottle and leaned on the sink. Sign what, Mom? It's all PIN. I know the PIN. Anna knows it too. Families for that. Trust. Anna swallowed the metallic taste in her mouth. The pin is hers, Richard, trust isn't draining the account. He rolled his eyes and pulled a wad of crumpled receipts from his pocket, like waving trophies. It's all here. I'll put it back later. That lot's a sure deal. The papers shook in his hand, and the truth leaking out hid in one detail. A slip from Bet House Cash In, time 11:18 a.m., $500, tucked among the butcher's receipts. Anna reached out. May I? Richard decurled his fingers. It's mine. It's Mom's money. They stared each other down in the narrow hallway, and it was Mrs. Evelyn who decided it with that old courage. Give it to your sister. Richard, I don't want trouble with the bank. Anna photographed the receipts one by one. Micro reveals don't fall from the sky. They're picked up off the floor slip by slip. The betting receipt, the transfer to a different account holder, a handwritten note, chargeback pics, Marco, collector. 2 letters showed it wasn't the manager. Plenty of Marco's word in many neighborhoods. Let's do this. Richard Kahn stepped back half a pace, relieved by the plan he was inventing. Tomorrow morning I'll deposit everything. There's a game tonight, but this one's guaranteed. Tomorrow for sure. The laugh he tried to glue to the word guaranteed sounded cynical even to him. Anna had to choose between confrontation and protection. The manager had warned, collect the cards, don't open doors. Mom, you're sleeping at my place tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll go to the bank. Richard, leave the key with Mom. His face hardened. You're going to treat me like a thief. I'm going to treat my grandmother's pension for what it is. Her food, her medicine, her gas. You've got 5 minutes to go. We'll talk to the manager tomorrow. And Anna stepped closer, low, firm. Don't pressure the neighbors with your sure deal stories. Enough, he smirked, that smile that comes before the low blow. You always wanted to be the favorite daughter, huh? And now you'll play hero. Look, Anna, stop the drama. I'm her son. Responsible party is just paperwork. Responsible is the one who stays. Paper is how you prove it. She shut the door in his face before the words turned into shouting. Night fell sticky, with mosquitoes in the kitchen and thoughts armed. Anna packed 2 quick bags, meds, slippers, the blue notebook, the lavender, documents. She shut off the gas main, checked the doors and warned the neighbor, Saide Sylvia. If anything, call me. They went to Anna's place 4 blocks away, a simple cream-walled duplex. The silence was different there. The Potts knew another order. The clock ticked with a metronome's anxiety. They shared the double bed, each with her pillow, and Anna listened to her grandmother breathe until she slid into a shallow sleep. When the phone lit up in the night with an email from the bank, dispute opened. Anna felt 1 brick less on her chest. Morning at the downtown branch smelled of air conditioning and Saturday haste. Marquis waited standing, light dress shirt, no tie, a pen clipped to the pocket. He greeted Mrs. Evelyn with respect, pulling a chair by the priority counter. Mrs. Evelyn, Miss Anna, step by step. I'll explain what we've traced since yesterday. You as the account holder can authorize a detailed review, and Ms. Anna, as the registered responsible party, can accompany. He spoke to the elderly woman not out of rote politeness, but by method, centering her autonomy. I authorize, Mrs. Evelyn said, clutching her purse with both hands like holding a small boat in a fast river. Mark led them to a glass room where a monitor displayed the account timeline, icons of withdrawals, transfers, payments. Here, he pointed, 9:12 a.m., ATM on Market Street. We have camera. Here, 10:03 a.m., Butcher's correspondent. There's a camera, but resolution tends to be worse. He typed a password, clicked request footage. These recordings aren't instant. We request and receive them within 3 business days. But last night I pulled the metadata from the bus station ATM, and I found this. The video opened in low quality first. Silhouette of a man in a cap and mask, body pressed to the machine, trying to hide the screen. Marcus paused on a frame and enlarged a rectangle. The right hand, a thin line tattoo on the wrist, 3 bowling pins. Anna and Mrs. Evelyn looked at each other. It's Richard's, the older woman said without anger, like describing the weather. He got that awful thing after the divorce, said it brought luck. There's more, Mark continued, keeping it professional. Transfers through the app originated from a device that had never accessed the account before. Even with the correct PIN that triggers an alert, the SIM used on login differs from the one you registered with us last year. I've already generated a dispute protocol. If we confirm you didn't make or authorize these, the bank will refund part of the amounts under our policy, and the rest will be a police report and legal action matter. He set a folder on the table. But I need you to answer honestly. Does anyone in your family know your PIN? Mrs. Evelyn swallowed hard. She looked at Anna, then at the monitor, breathed. I told Richard one day, when I couldn't remember the end. He said he'd write it down for me. The shame came less from failing and more from trusting. Mark nodded. Happens a lot. That's why we recommend changing the PIN and having your responsible party help with transactions. We can set up a joint account with limits and controls, but that's your decision. I can only suggest. Anna felt a stab of guilt. Why hadn't she gotten ahead of this? Why did she think her presence was a pillow against her brother's cunning? The manager neither absolved nor accused her. He just laid out rails. I want to change the PIN and set up that account with Anna, the elderly woman said, and her hands trembled a little less as they gripped the pen. Out in the lobby, the sound of hurried steps swelled like sudden rain. Richard stormed in, cap torn in half, mask shoved into his pocket, eyes jittery. "Mom," he raised his voice, drawing attention from those waiting with numbers. "Why are you doing this to me? I was going to put it back." Heads turned. The guard gauged distance. Marks appeared beside Anna, discreet. He spoke low. "If you want, we can go back into the room." Anna didn't retreat. She stood by her grandmother. "We're protecting what's Mom's." "Richard, I'm her son, which is exactly why you should take care. You're exposing me. You just want to humiliate me." His face shone with sweat. When he raised his arm higher than needed, the tattooed wrist screamed in the air. Anna held out her phone with a tap. On the screen, a frozen frame from the bus station video. The same tattoo, the same jacket. "This is you." It wasn't a hysterical accusation, just a fact. A half-moon of invisible onlookers formed. Richard staggered back a step but clung to the script. "Could be anyone with a tattoo. And anyway, you can't prove I used the PIN. Mom gave it." Marketing stayed neutral. "Mr. Richard, please keep it respectful in the lobby. Procedures are underway." "Mrs. Evelyn has filed a dispute." "But I'm her son." He repeated it like a magic password. "Being a son isn't a universal PIN," Anna said. "Being a son isn't a signed permit to use your mother's wallet." A murmur of agreement hopped from mouth to mouth, the air thickening toward Barb's. External pressure took shape. An older man muttered, "Lock him up." A woman at the counter whispered, "It's always family." The guard took one more step. "I was just front-running a deal. Richard, you yielded a few inches. I owed you a Marco." "Which you Marco?" Anna asked. "The one from the neighborhood." "The loan shark," she translated, at a volume that gave the glass walls a small echo. "Masks fall easier when they need to breathe. He called yesterday, said he'd drop by today. I was going to cover it with the pension and then put it back." "After how long?" "A month, tops." Mrs. Evelyn smoothed her dress hem, eyes lost in arithmetic from another century. "A month is too long for someone who needs medicine every day," she said, surprising herself with the firmness. Mark stepped in, restoring the realm of facts. "Mr. Richard, the account is blocked as a precaution. The PIN will be changed today. If you believe there's a misunderstanding, bring an attorney to submit your statement for the dispute. Beyond that, any attempt to access the account will be logged and will have legal consequences." "You threatening me?" Richard Way came a step closer. The guard raised a hand. "No, I'm explaining what's already happening," Mark said, and that carried more weight than any future conditional. Richard tried to meet his mother's eyes, but she kept looking at the notebook Anna held against her chest like a paper shield. "Mom, I'm your son, and I'm your mother," she answered, and the phrase sent an echo into the room that smelled like childhood. "And mothers know that no sometimes saves." She turned her back, not out of contempt, but as an ending. At the doorway, the 9:30 sun spilled a modest gold on the sidewalk. Anna sat equem, Mrs. Evelyn, on a concrete bench under the almond tree's shade, and they stayed quiet, watching pigeons argue over crumbs. "I brought the lavender, Grandma," Anna said, pulling the little bottle from her purse. "Want some?" Mrs. Evelyn smiled, shy. "Today I want another smell. New paper. New paper. From the new account." She chuckled softly. Anna squeezed her grandmother's hand. "Rituals aren't thrown away, you relearn them." On the way home, they passed Parker's butcher. The banking correspondent was at a back counter under a faded sign that read, "Pay here. Water. Power. Bills. The butcher, Mr. Parker, recognized them. Mrs. Evelyn. Been a while. His gaze flitted to Anna and back. If you need yesterday's footage, I can help. The camera catches the whole line. Anna nodded. The bank requested it, but thank you. He lowered his voice. Richard was worked up here. Lost a receipt. Cursed at his phone. The lady at the lottery next door saw. Small threads began stitching the fabric of proof. That afternoon, back at the house, Anna climbed to the top cabinet. The flour tin was there, empty of the second card, full of dusted memories. She brought it down and with a pen wrote inside the lid, "Open only together." Then she stored the card her grandmother would use now, the joint account card with daily limits, with alerts to Anna's cell and to Mrs. Evelyn's old loud landline. They installed an app on the grandmother's phone with a giant shortcut. Call Anna. Anna taped a sheet with big numbers next to the phone. Bank, Mark, 5th Precinct, Sylvia, neighbor. The house had always been orderly, but now it wore signs of protection, like a storm had passed, and they were replacing shingles. That was the first adjustment. The second came when Anna's phone rang at 6:02 p.m. It was an unknown number, but the accent wasn't. Evening. Marco, from the neighborhood. Richard gave me your number. The air thickened. He owes me, ma'am. I'm not a bank, but I'm not an animal either. If we're gonna settle, we can talk. Anna felt the fear rise, an ocean that climbs your stomach and threatens to turn into rage. You know that money came from an elderly woman's pension. I know where most of the money in this neighborhood comes from, darling. What I want to know is, are you going to pay me? The question was both threat and test. The one who owes you is Richard. From now on, any contact you make with my family will be recorded. If you call again, I'll log it. And tomorrow I'm going to the 5th Precinct with my grandmother. If you show up here, I call the police. The pension doesn't pay gambling debts. On the other end, a small calculated silence. You talk pretty. I talk within my limits, Anna said. She hung up, hand a little shaky, and saved the number as Marco, collector. Do not answer. Letters shouting on the screen. Sunday passed with bread, an old newspaper and a fan's soft hum. Anna took inventory with her grandmother. Flour, sugar, coffee, medicines, red label pills sorted by day in a plastic organizer that now had labels. As she labeled, Anna explained, "This is to keep it simple. Monday morning we'll file the police report." Now and then, Mrs. Evelyn drifted into a memory when her boy came home from school with a dusty uniform and sweaty hair pasted to his forehead. He had a beautiful courage, bike with no brakes down hills, but he always came home. Anna said nothing. Some memories come to break us, others to stitch us back. This one did both. Monday morning, a police report at the precinct. Fraud and unlawful appropriation. Detective Harris, thick glasses and a careful way with words, took notes, requested the bank's protocol numbers, looked at the tattoo in the still, and said the phrase Anna feared and expected. It'll be family against family. Can you handle that? The "can you" wasn't a dare, it was a warning. Anna nodded. I can with her, and touched her grandmother's forearm. The clerk, Ben, showed how to upload screenshots and receipts to the system. Photo of the betting receipt too? Anna asked. Especially, he said. Tuesday per case. Mark called early. We got the butcher's footage. Better quality than expected. There's a moment he pulls the mask down to talk to someone at the counter. Tattoo matches. Can't use us. There was a declined debit attempt last night at a bar due to the block. We have an automatic refund pending. Thanks for the heads up. I'll need Mrs. Evelyn Shaw to come sign the pin change and, if you choose, formalize the limited co-titling. We'll be there today. On the bus, stores slid past in slices. Key shop, variety store, church, pastry shop. Mrs. Evelyn watched the window, eyes full of a world she'd seen 1,000 times, but which stung more that day. I raised Richard alone after his father left, she said, voice so low it sounded like a memory. I know, Anna answered. He has kindness too, Grandma. He just mixed it with hurry and vice. Kindness doesn't buy medicine. No, maybe it pays later with shame. We'll take care of now. At the counter, Mark Sima's pen slid across the desk, and the white paper had fields like little doors. Authorization, daily limit, voice alerts. Would you like the landline to ring as well for every movement? Yes, Mrs. Evelyn said, and I want Anna to get the alerts on her phone. I don't know how to read those messages. I do know how to listen. Mark smiled with his eyes. "We have an automated voice service, sounds like an old radio announcer. Works well. I like radio," she said, and that came as relief. When it was time to sign, the retired teacher's hand shook less. Anna noticed the old ritual knocking. No lavender here, but there was paper. And for a moment, Mrs. Evelyn closed her eyes the same way she did breathing in the purple drops scent. There, her head settled. When they left, the noon sun spared no one. The collector, Marco, leaned on a post at the corner, as if he were nothing at all. His eyes met Anna's for half a second, and that was enough for him to understand two things. There were limits here, and those limits had witnesses. He turned away and lit a cigarette that didn't calm his hunger. In the afternoon, the house phone rang. Richard. His voice was as crumpled as that wad of receipts. "Mum, the police called me. I called them first," she said, no metaphors. "Mum, don't do this to me. I was desperate." "You need to be desperate now, son, so you don't throw the rest of your life away then," he panted on the line. "Anna, speak for me. I can't say what you need to say." "Richard," she cut in, "but I can listen if it's about making it right. I can't pay it all back now." "Time can't be paid back, Richard. Money can. Let's start with what's in your pocket and that TV you financed. We accept a payment plan, not empty promises. And you'll speak with your Detective Harris. You're going to destroy me." "No, we're going to stop you from destroying others." He hung up. Next morning, Richard Etam showed up at the door. This time he knocked. He had a plastic bag with loose bills, $820. "It's what I've got. Put it on the table," Anna said. He did. "I'll talk to Detective Harrison today, sign whatever I have to sign. Will you drop the complaint after?" "The complaint isn't a bargaining chip," Anna answered. "It's a track. You follow it or derail. If you follow the track of repair, a Detective Harrison will see it, the judge too. And you will live." Mrs. Evelyn rose slowly. "I'll live with my pension paying what it must. And you'll live with your work paying what you promised. I won't save you from the police, son. I'll save you from the habit." He looked at his mother, like facing a draft he never wanted to write. "What habit?" "Thinking your mother's wallet is a sure thing." At the precinct, Richard Z. signed a confession of unauthorized card use with a PIN obtained through trust, a word heavy as stone. He agreed to repay in 3 installments what the bank wouldn't refund. Detective Harris stamped it. Mark handed Anna the partial refund protocol. ATM cash-outs would be reimbursed. The transfer to a third party would not, as it was authorized with a PIN and without proven coercion. The rest would depend on the courts. "That means," Anna began, "it means half comes back in the next few days. The rest you're already pursuing legally. That's the path." While they waited for the wheels to turn, life marched along like a trail of ants. Anna took her grandmother to the clinic to renew prescriptions for the eye drops and blood pressure meds. In the waiting room, 2 women gossiped about last night's soap and next week's outrage. "These days, scams are everywhere," one said. Mrs. Evelyn answered with sweetness and a prickle. "The worst is when the scam sleeps under the same roof." The other woman nodded with eyes that had seen something similar. Anna realized the phrase, said without bitterness, built a bridge. Less humiliation, more belonging. On the way back, they stopped by Lydia's sewing shop, an old friend, to hem a dress. Lydia poured coffee, and they told the story without details that turn into gossip, with facts that turn into learning. Lydia opened a drawer and showed a manila envelope. "I keep my cards here, but the pin lives only in my head and on a paper my granddaughter sealed with tape with this deal. If I get sick, she opens it with me." Anna took a mental picture of the procedure, liked the tape detail. Folk techniques born of fear and affection are worth any course. The following days assembled a patient mosaic. The cash-out refunds arrived. Anna logged them in the blue notebook with the date and the digital stamp. Mark emailed. Richard brought another $600, this time in an envelope, with a crumpled pamphlet. "Gamblers Anonymous, Wednesdays 7 p.m. He didn't ask for applause. He just said, "I'm trying." Anna didn't infantilize him or over-harden the line. "Keep trying, and don't disappear on due dates." He nodded and left. Mrs. Evelyn watched him cross the gate with less swagger in his steps and exhaled something that had been stuck since the manager's first call. At 6 p.m., sharp, Anna reached for the lavender but paused. "Grandma, how about we tweak the ritual?" "How?" "2 drops for you and 2 for me." They touched wrists and breathed together. "Does your head settle now?" "It does." On Friday, the branch was busier than usual. Mark had called them in for one last signature, adjustments to the daily limit and registering the landline for automated voice calls, a service that felt from another era but was perfect for someone who didn't read texts. People flowed through the lobby. Among them was man Richard, clean cap, clean shave, plastic folder in hand. He didn't approach. He looked up when his mother passed and murmured, "I'll pay." "I'll live," she answered, and the phrase carried a small blessing inside it, that he'd find his own work without stealing hers. Outside, Anna noticed something fear had covered in previous days. The neighborhood carried on. The bus rumble, the kids selling peanut bars, the neighbor asking about medicine. Life hadn't stopped to watch their drama. It had simply made room. That night, when the phone rang and the mechanical voice announced, "Account movement, $42, Saint Joan Pharmacy," Mrs. Evelyn smiled. It was the first notification that sounded like music and not an alarm. "I bought the eye drops," she said, showing the little package. "And I wrote it here." She turned the blue notebook to Anna, like showing a report card with a gold star. Saturday, Anna decided on a cleanup that was also a rite. They pulled dish towels off the line, separated clothes to donate, opened a box forgotten in the wardrobe, old photographs. Richard, as a boy in a kiddie pool, Anna with an oversized bow, Mrs. Evelyn Young in a polka dot dress holding a diploma. Seeing the diploma, the older woman straightened without noticing. "I was good at math," she said, shy. "You still are," Anna shot back. "We just updated the resume, protective arithmetic." They laughed. Among the photos was an envelope of newspaper clippings, pieces about elder scams and safety tips. "I kept these to wise up," Mrs. Evelyn confessed, "but the scam that really fells us is the one that leaks from inside." Anna ran her finger over the paper. "Now we're sealing that leak." Sunday, they took the promised cornbread to the coconut water stand. The vendor, Tumse, gave a wink that felt like thanks for a soap opera with no reruns. On the way back, they stopped by church. Outside, a neighbor approached. "Mrs. Evelyn," with that mix of curiosity and concern, "I heard about your boy." The older woman hugged the notebook to her chest and answered without over-explaining, without adding captions to the unrepeatable, "He'll learn, and so will I." A small sentence, but it put everyone in their place. He on the road to repair, she on the road to not losing him, or herself. The next week, the bank's class began. The group was a mosaic of white hair, canes, reading glasses, and here and there, grandkids and adult children. Markinell presented a booklet with simple drawings. The fake courier scam, the fake bank employee, the fake prize. With gentle humor, he showed a password, 123456, crossed with a red X. "A good password is like a good recipe. You don't hand it to just anyone." Mrs. Evelyn raised her hand. "And when just anyone is our own?" The room hung for a second. Mark answered like stepping on glass. "Then we separate affection from access. Love doesn't need a pin. The account does." The class murmured, "That's it." Under the desk, Anna squeezed her grandmother's hand. At the end, a visiting social worker, Nina, described a city program for elders facing financial abuse. "Violence isn't just slaps and shouts," she said. "Sometimes it's the hand that takes without asking." Anna grabbed the flyer, jotted the phone number. On the way out, a man in a hat approached. "Mrs. Evelyn, my daughter-in-law saved me from one. They got my card and almost got away with it. Now she keeps it with me." Stories, when told, stop being one house's secret and become the neighborhood's defensive repertoire. Between classes, routines set in with small wins, the landline ringing for every movement and the polite voice becoming an inside joke. The bank lady called. Must have been the bread. The bank lady's watching our gas. The shared lavender at day's end. The notebook, which now had not just expenses, but also a page named Good Things, where anything went. Didn't burn the rice. Pigeon didn't stain the window. Richarding didn't call asking for money. Speaking of him, Richard showed up less. When he did, he came with small deposits and short sentences. One afternoon he arrived sweaty, smelling of joint compound, and said, "Got some work at the gas station build." He placed $400 on the table. "It's not much. It's a start," Anna said. Mrs. Evelyn looked at his hands. Cement black nails, cracked skin, and had the cruel, just intuition that this new pain was better than the old pleasure that wrecked him. "Your grandpa smiled again," she said, looking at the portrait on the wall. Richard had tried to smile, but only a corner of his mouth moved. I don't know if I can, Mom. No one knows before doing. Things didn't get pretty. They got possible, which meant there was a relapse. One Wednesday he vanished. Friday night when Sylvia had texted, saw Richard hand on the corner with some guys. Anna's stomach turned to stone. Saturday morning he reappeared, red-eyed, with an apology stuck in his throat. I messed up, Anna breathed, measuring her words like measuring salt. Now what? Now I go back to the group. And the payment? Monday, $200. Okay. Mrs. Evelyn peered over her glasses. I raised you to get up off the floor, not to become its dust. Monday arrived and he brought the $200. The dust settled. Each stumble followed by repair laid a new brick on the bridge. On a rainy afternoon, a young man with a badge knocked. The program's social worker. He spoke with both women, explained rights, a guide, line priority, what to do in a new scam attempt, even by family. He talked about a support network, a phrase that can sound far away, but was there made of neighbor, manager, detective, assistant, butcher's cashier, the class lady. Before leaving, he stuck a magnet on the fridge with an emergency number. For when your heart's tight from your head and your balance, he joked. Mrs. Evelyn placed it beside the cornbread recipe. Then came the conciliation hearing. A cold room, a long table, a mediator with a chess lover's voice. On one side, Anna and Vax, Mrs. Evelyn. On the other, Richard, with a public defender. He didn't look much. When he did, he looked away quickly. The defender spoke of settlement schedule and non-recurrence. The mediator tapped a gavel that wasn't a gavel. So recorded. Richard signed. The pen didn't shake as much as it had at the precinct. At the end, he asked, "Can I talk to you for a moment, Mum?" The defender nodded. Anna stood 2 steps away in sight. The dialogue was dry and tender. "Thanks for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on yourself." He cried with his face to the ground, tears falling like windless rain. There was no hug there. There was an agreement. The following weeks brought a peace that isn't music. It's organized noise. The bank's automated calls became good alarms. Movement, $23 bakery. Movement, 14 dirhams, phone top-up, all within the limit they had drawn. The notebook got a ribbon bookmark, a strip of purple lavender tape that Anna glued in. The flower tin, now with the note open only together, became a symbol. When visitors asked, they explained, and the story took the shape of a vaccine for other homes. On a broad sun afternoon, the collector, Marco, walked down the opposite sidewalk. He pretended not to see, but he saw. Something in Anna's walk, with steady steps and notebook in her bag, said, "Not here." He respected the invisible sign and moved on. At month's end, the account closed with numbers life could hold. The bank had returned half. Richard had paid the first and second installments. The rest was penciled in. Mark called just to say the workshop had finished, and the next one already had a waitlist. Anna shared that Teresa's a mother, almost fell for the fake courier scam but was saved by an automated landline call that left them confident. "It's just a voice saying there was a transaction, but it feels like an arm around us." He smiled over the phone. "Technology that evokes care. That's the ideal." Early the next month, Anna organized the paperwork in labeled folders. Bank, police, settlement, Richard Hughes payments, workshop, handwritten labels, neat print. As she stapled, she thought care is at its core a choreography of small things. She put everything into a box she titled Proofs of Care, a phrase Marka had used that now lived on their shelf like a discreet trophy. When her eyes fell on the box, she smiled. Proofs of care heal more than proofs of blame. In the kitchen, the clock hit 6 when Anna opened the drawer and took out the lavender. 2 drops, 2 people, she read in the notebook, like checking a recipe. "Ready, Grandma?" "Ready." They touched wrists and breathed, and the scent smoothed a bit of the day's wear. From the neighborhood, an old song drifted on the radio. The wind rustled the almond leaves where 2 pigeons still argued over crumbs, each one with its tiny truth. Saturday. Richard A. knocked again. Stubble on his chin, a clear folder with receipts, eyes that no longer begged for shortcuts. "Here's the 3rd installment." He handed it over, waited. Anna checked, snapped a photo, filed it. Mrs. Evelyn stood without leaning on anything. "I don't know how things will be from here, son. I just know there has to be work in the middle and respect at the start." He nodded. "I'm learning to separate affection from access," he said, repeating the class line without knowing. "That," she answered, and the word sounded like Amen. Before he left, he paused in the doorway. "Mom, can I have a hug?" She opened her arms. The hug fit the size of the day, brief, soft, promise-free. Then each went to do what they had to do. He drop off resumes at the job site. She wash the dishes. Anna check the app, smiling at reorderos in alerts since the eyedrop purchase. On some quiet night, when Anna turned off the living room light, the house settled into that silence that comes when the world finally fits into a livable shape. Still, she went back to the kitchen to check the top of the fridge. The flour tin sat open. Startle up, startle down. She saw the card inside, and under the lid the handwritten line, "Open only together." Anna held the tin for a second like holding a heart, then set it back gently on the highest shelf. Simple gesture, but for the two of them, it was the strongest password ever made. Next Sunday, the coconut water stand became a small party, cornbread, long conversation, Tom asking for the recipe and Mrs. Evelyn Hunt explaining how to beat the eggs first. Between laughs, the older woman whispered to Anna, like signing a receipt in the air. "Text finalized successfully?" Anna laughed. "In people's stories, Grandma, there's no the end. There's to be continued." The bank's mechanical voice didn't call that day, and no one missed it. Maybe because between lavender and notebook, between daily limit and hug-on time, the only alarm that mattered was already lit inside. And so, without fireworks or headlines, life slid back onto its axis. Not the old axis, but a new one, with more locks, yes, and more delicacy. The neighborhood went on. The almond tree grew a little. The bank class opened a new cohort. The social worker traded one check-in call for another. The collector, Marco Chol, learned the outline of the invisible sign. The manager, Mark, filed away a case that would make a good example for the next workshop. And in Mrs. Evelyn's van house every evening at 6, 2 drops of lavender signed a contract that needed no notary. 2 drops, 2 people. Open only together. Responsible is the one who stays. Paper is how you prove it. At month's end, the account closed with numbers that fit life. The bank refunded half, Richard Hugh paid the first installment, and the rest was penciled in. Mark called just to say the financial education workshop was wrapping up and the next class already had a wait list. Anna told him how Teresa's mother nearly fell for the courier scam, but was saved by an automated landline call that left them confident. "It's just a voice saying, 'There was activity, but it feels like an arm holding us.'" He smiled over the line. "Technology that reminds people of care, that's the sweet spot." At the door before bed, Anna spotted the flour tin on top of the fridge, open, no card inside. For a second, old fear raised its head. Then she saw the paper taped under the lid. "Open only together." She smiled to herself in the kitchen, closed it gently, and put it back up high. On Sunday, they brought the promised cornbread to the coconut water stand. Tom winked a thank you that felt like gratitude for a series with no reruns. On the way home, they stopped at church. Outside, a neighbor approached. "Mrs. Evelyn for," with that blend of curiosity and concern. "I heard about your boy." She hugged the blue notebook to her chest and replied without over-explaining, without captioning the unrepeatable, "He's going to learn, and so am I." A small sentence, but one that put everyone in their place. He on the road of repair, she on the road of not losing him and not losing herself. That night, 6 p.m. sharp, Anna uncapped the lavender and, before the drops, grabbed the notebook. "Grandma, you write." "Me?" "Write our new ritual." Mrs. Evelyn held the pencil like the chalk she'd held decades earlier, teaching cursive. 2 drops, 2 people, she read aloud, smiling. Then she added, "Automatic call to say everything's okay." The line leaned a little. Small letters here, big letters there. It was perfect. The following Saturday, Richard came again. He brought a receipt for another payment and a look that, if not humble, at least didn't lie. "Here's the first part," he said, setting it on the table. Anna took a photo, stapled it, and filed it in a clear cover folder labeled Richard Restitution. Mrs. Evelyn Trees didn't offer coffee. She offered a silence that let the other person hear their own conscience. "I've been going to Gamblers Anonymous," he blurted, like dropping a rope that burns your hand. "Every Wednesday. I don't know if it works, but it's what I've got." "Good choice," Anna said. "We won't clap for starting. We'll be here when you continue. And when I fail, you get up and you pay." He nodded. At the door, "Mom, can I have a hug?" Mrs. Evelyn breathed. There's no manual for the right hug after a wrong withdrawal. She opened her arms. The hug had the exact size of the day, brief, soft, no promises. Then each went to their task, and in the app, The line of alerts since the eyedrop purchase still read $0. The weeks that followed pieced together a gentle mosaic. The bank course, 2 new pins, the landline's polite robot voice that made Mrs. Evelyn Dwyer laugh. That bank lady is so polite. Small deposits from Richard. Anna's check-ins at the precinct to update the case. Visits from the social worker someone, Mark Cray, had suggested. There was no big finale with fireworks. There was closure, and on a cloudy afternoon, seated at the table with a simple cake, Anna and Mrs. Evelyn performed the full ritual, 2 drops on each wrist, the notebook open to a blank page and a synchronized "There my head settles," not as nostalgia, but as the founding of a habit. By the end of that month, the account balanced with numbers that fit their life. Markcho called in the evening, refunds for the ATM withdrawals have landed. And about our seniors' financial education program, you asked? Next group starts Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Common scams, secure pins, limits. Want me to reserve 2 spots? Anna looked at her grandmother stirring cake batter with a wooden spoon, thin arm insistent. Reserve for both of us. Perfect. And please, keep those receipts from these days. They've become... A small pause dropped the word in the right place. Proofs of care. Anna hung up and rested her forehead against the kitchen doorframe. Care, too, is proven, she thought. With signatures, with limits, with not opening the door when shouting asks you to. With a ritual that returns different. No fireworks, no headlines, just life back on its axis. New, sturdier and kinder. And in Mrs. Evelyn Zibabe's home, every evening at 6, 2 drops of lavender sealed a contract that needed no notary. 2 drops, 2 people. Open only together. Responsible is the one who stays. Paper is how you prove it.